Good morning, St. Louis. Welcome back to another episode of Whois Talk Mobile. Again, I'm your host, Artemis Caldwell, founder and CEO of Whois Incorporated. Yes, and this episode is a very special episode. I want to send a shout out to my philosophy teacher, history teacher, Mr. Rodney Malone. I just thought about a question that you asked a former student of yours, and it just had me thinking. But you asked, what is the Enlightenment? So to answer that, I wanted to speak up and talk to you about it, and talk to you about Whois and the actual thing that we do, and the Enlightenment, to answer your question and to bring everyone forth. First off, I want to say Whois is a spiritual organization dedicated to understanding identity and unity within a community. So the first thing that we do is try to understand self and define self first. And also, we try to incorporate the first thing, I guess the second thing, the second to the first thing would be the act of change, because Whois is the beginning of change, starting with yourself. So with that being said, also the Enlightenment is, what is the change that you desire to be? And that's what we want you to think about, the exact change, which is the idea, the thought, because enlightenment isn't anything but to change, to actually really feel the idea part of what it is that you want to do. We can honestly compare that to the idea of movement. You don't focus or sit down to think about moving your arm up and down or reaching for a cup, the natural movements of the body. This is something, one, you thought about, but you don't truly know the mechanics of what made my brain figure out, okay, move it this way or that way, boom, boom, boom. It's, you can argue muscle memory, but it's the mechanics behind the muscle memory. What is the memory behind the muscle? So with that being said, Whois actually, on day one, we encourage you to think about the change. That way it can become more so natural for you. So when you say mind, body, and soul, Whois actually attacks that phrase solely because change is an instant thing. So if you say you want to change something, it should be instant. So what we do is take the 12-day strict, and we take that whole 12 days to assess the process of change, which is growth. So if you really want to change, you have to already undergo the process of change, of growth. So if you don't understand growth, then you cannot understand change, or more so, you can't do it properly, I should say, solely because change has a process, which is growth, and Whois is going to teach you that, or just more so show you how to really get things done however you want to do so, and then also the mindset behind to move forth, because it's also a development process behind that. Now that I've changed, how do I handle my changes? It's now, how do I handle the blessing, quote unquote, of already getting this, now already having now me and Martin already together. Now what feats can I reach now is the whole attack process. So again, this episode is just a special shout out to, again, my philosophy teacher, Mr. Rodney Malone, because again, this is my own personal philosophy and how I have incorporated it into my own life. If I do want to make a change, let's get it done. And it's more so now you can attack that with action, and that'll bring you to day 3, which is determination. So from day 1, which is enlightenment, day 2, which is wisdom, now already, again, having that blessing or having that treasure with you, now what do you do? Now, okay, let's further that idea. Boom. And that'll drag you to day 3, which is action, determination. And then from there you go to courage, which is day 4, and 5, which is cultivate, and that'll just intro you to personal development and really getting things done and really seeing how you really want to tackle things out. So yeah, Mr. Malone, I love you, man. This one is for you, and also everybody else listening, just for the simple fact that enlightenment is the will to change. Confucius said, life is simple, but we insist on making it difficult, or we insist on making it complicated. Confucius, life is simple, but we insist on making it complicated. So just to uncomplicate things, just think about what it is that you want to do and how it is you want to change. Therefore, you can put thought to action to thought, or thought to action, however you want to chop it up. But yeah.